Welcome to Finding Your Identity in Your Autism Journey, the podcast where we explore complexities, breakthroughs, and unfiltered realities of the lives as touched by autism. I'm your host, Ruth Cassell, here to guide you through heartfelt stories, expert insights, and empowering conversations. Whether you're a parent or a sibling, an educator or an advocate, this is your space to find community, ask the hard questions, and uncover new possibilities. Let's dive in. Welcome to Finding Your Identity in Your Autism Journey. I'm your host, Ruth Cassell, and I am glad you are here today. Today's episode focuses on the Autism Spectrum Disorder Level 3, which is often described as the most severe level of autism. But what does that really mean? What does life look like for someone with a level 3 diagnosis? And how can dual levels, as outlined in the DSM-5, come into play? Whether you are a parent, an educator, or an advocate, this episode will provide clarity and actionable strategies for understanding and supporting individuals with level 3 autism. Okay, so what does level 3 autism mean? Let's define under the DSM-5 what level 3 autism is categorized as: needing very substantial support. It is characterized as having significant challenges in two main areas. And again, this is just like the last two episodes, the same areas. So first one in the social communication and the restrictive and repetitive behaviors. So remember, for the communication, they're going to struggle to use functional communication and will even need support. Individuals may have minimal or no verbal communication, and they have sensory sensitivities and repetitive behaviors that are typically more intense at this level. Individuals may rely heavily on routines and may have difficulties coping with those changes. For example, for someone at a level 3 might experience frequent meltdowns due to sensory overload or difficulty expressing their needs. They may also engage in repetitive behaviors like rocking or hand flapping or vocalization to self-soothe. But here's where it gets interesting. The DSM-5 acknowledges that the individuals can have dual levels, just like we talked about in previous episodes. In this sense, some might be a level 3 in the social, meaning that they require significant support to express their needs, but as a level 2, when it comes to repetitive behavior where sensory needs challenging, they are somewhat more manageable. This is the dual level approach and highlights the diversity of autism and the importance of assessing each area separately and building out those plans. So real life examples of a level 3 with a dual level. Okay, so I want to talk a little bit more about this, and this one touches home for me because my son is a level 3, and I'm going to share a little bit more insights with you guys in this episode. So first I'm going to give you the example because yes, he does have the dual levels, but his is a 3-3. So we're going to come back to my son in just a moment. To make this more relatable, let me share an example. Let's take a child named Daniel. Daniel is nonverbal and he uses an AAC device to communicate, but he struggles to initiate communication even with his device. He relies heavily on prompts from his parents and therapists. This places him at a level 3 in social communication. Has However, Daniel has some sensory sensitivities, such as aversion to loud noises, and doesn't engage in intense repetitive behaviors, might fall under the level 2, meaning he needs substantial but not overwhelming support in this area. Now, I am going to talk about my son. Now that you know that there's a little bit there, my son is also a level 3 in both areas. He is considered nonverbal, although he does have words. He uses them very sparingly because he also has severe apraxia. So, and we're going to have another episode on apraxia and what the levels are for that, because I think a lot of parents don't know about that too. And sometimes apraxia is part of autism in the profile under DSM-5, and we're going to break that down. But apraxia also can be a standalone diagnosis on the severity level. So my son, getting back to the topic, is also a level 3 in both areas. He's considered nonverbal. He does use an AAC device, and we use Prolo-Quo to go is the method that we chose. And in our later episodes on AAC, I would talk on the reasons why I chose to use that. So stay tuned for that. But in my son's case, he's actually very well with his AAC. He will ask for things like for food. It's mostly food, but like social or to like greetings, things like that. He still struggles with that, the social aspect of it. This is why he's still at a level 3, although he is pretty efficient with his AAC, and we've been doing AAC for a year. He would still not be considered moved out of level 3 because he doesn't engage. He will engage at table work with his AAC more. And the only thing he will engage with it with outside doing table work is if he wants food. Like he will tell me, and he will use 3 to 4 words on his AAC. Like, I want cheese. Or sometimes he'll just say cheese over and over until I get him cheese. It's not every single time. Or he'll say, make French fries air fryer. So it's not a proper sentence. So he will do this, but he is still a level 3, even though he has these great attributes and he's doing amazing at that and he's learning that. And I say this for the parents out there that have these children that are on these more severe levels, they can make large progress with AAC. He also does spelling to communicate, and this helps him with the repetitive piece, not only about communication, because again, I said that my son has apraxia as well. This helps him with his motor planning and overcoming those motor needs, and it is OT based. Again, we're going to have an episode just on spelling to communicate as well. But he does have severe sensory needs, and he has made a lot of progress and still making progress towards, and they can lead to major meltdowns. His meltdowns can be self-injurial and then also aggression towards others as well. It is about, most of his is because either something he's not understanding, or he's not being able to convey properly what he wants or needs. So he requires significant support in both communication and behavior. These examples show how autism at the level 3 can vary widely, even among individuals with this similar diagnosis. So let's talk about some actionable steps in supporting our level 3 autistics. Okay. So how do we support someone with level 3? Especially when they have those dual levels and it's involved. So let's break this down just a little bit. And it's kind of similar in the last episode where we're supporting those communication. We talked about the AAC and the Prolo-Quo, and so they can speak for themselves, and it definitely can be a game changer like it has been for my son. And then the other thing that I mentioned just a moment ago that he does is spelling to communicate. Spelling to communicate has been very beneficial for my son, and he can spell. That was the whole point of the reason why I got into spelling, was because he was spelling out words, and this is before we had an AAC device. My son is also hyperlexic. And I was like, oh, why are you spelling all these words? Like, I had all the alphabets on the fridge, and he had alphabets to go in his bath, and he was spelling out his name, and he was spelling out Bingo and Bluey, and I wanted to see what else he could do. So I looked into it, and as I was going down a rabbit hole for my son and seeing how I could help him with spelling, because at this point he wasn't 5 yet. He was getting ready to turn 5, and I'm like, should I be pushing into this? What do I like? He's spelling words that I didn't know he could even spell. So I looked into it, and yes, it's spelling to communicate. What is even more important than the spelling? He does know how to spell. But spelling to communicate has given him so much to help him with his regulation. It has changed him. It has regulated his sensory needs that allows him to sit down, to be able to focus, sleep, and spell for 30 minutes. That's huge. So they take a full sensory approach, and that's what my son needs because he has the level 3 in both. He has a lot of sensory needs. It's not just about communication. Sometimes he's overwhelmed and he can't get what he needs out appropriately. Again, visual schedules that helps reinforce, and also, doing visual support with spoken words and gestures and visual schedules to reinforce what they mean. I homeschool my son as well, and I modify a lot of his curriculum. He is in the 1st grade, but he does do a lot of paper. I do make a lot of modified, like for math. So I'll give an example. Math, what I will do is we're doing multiplication right now, and I just cut out 2 times 2, and then I have the answers, a set of answers, and he can choose out of it, and he'll have to put it on the Velcro piece. And then I will modify a lot of things like that. So like we're also working on word families right now, and word families, I have a lot of pictures of words. And then on the sheet, we change out the beginning of the letter or the end of the word, whichever part of the families we're working on. So it's a very interactive tool. It's not just, here's a worksheet, we're doing that. And I use a lot of songs in homeschooling with him to help reinforce that, because that's what he likes. He likes music. So I try to find a song that goes with almost every worksheet for him. They're pretty easy to find. I mean, YouTube has a great stuff. Jack Hartman has a lot of great stuff that I definitely utilize, and a lot of other great creators that my son likes. So I just try to really engage. I find what the topics that we're working on, and then I put that in there for him. So I say this to let you know that your child, no matter what level they are on, they can make progress. Don't give up. And then work on that functional communication. I will say, work with therapists to teach basic requests and asking for them to express their discomfort. And I really like that. One thing I like about the AAC and Proloquo to Go is that when you purchase the app, and a lot of parents don't know this, when you purchase the app, there's a whole training. And like I said, I'm making an AAC episode, and we're going to dive really deep into that. It has made the world of difference that I took the time and watched those videos and actually did the actionable steps through that app, because looking at the Proloquo app alone for me was a little overwhelming. Just look at it at first. And to be honest, his speech therapist had never worked with that AAC tool before. So she's like, I can do AAC, but I've just never worked this system. So I had to become the subject matter expert for that system. And thank goodness when you do purchase that app, there is a lot of support inside that app. So just letting you know. And I'll tell you my why in the episode for the AAC, letting you know why I chose that one for advancing in the future. So addressing those sensory needs and behaviors. So you're going to create a sensory friendly environment. Some people use noise canceling headphones, weighted blankets, dim lights, and to minimize sensory triggers. My son, he will not wear headphones, and I'm trying to get him to wear headphones, and he will not do it. We're working on that. He does like weighted blankets and weighted like lap things, like when we sit and do in our chair and stuff. This helps him. Also, he likes these stools that you can actually move around in. That helps him a lot stay grounded while we're doing our schoolwork, because he can move it around, but it doesn't affect his feet and it stays planted. So this has really helped with his sensory needs. Routine. With these kids, consistency is critical. Visual schedules can help and anticipate like what's coming up next. Calming strategies. Introduce activities where there's like a swing or water play or deep pressure input to help with that self-regulation. Collaborating and advocating and always having a plan. So you're going to work with multiple disciplinary teams. This can be speech therapists, occupational therapists, BCBAs, PTs. You're going to collaborate and then make a plan that both can uphold to the parent and the child, and then everybody on the team. It's always critical to be on the same page. Always want to prepare for your IEP meetings. If you're in public school, have an advocate for support. Then, you can advocate for those one-on-ones, those sensory breaks, those extended time for transitions or other things that may be going on. Emergency plan. We are going to have an episode just on emergency plans because it can be scary during an emergency, and definitely want to make sure that you have those in place. So develop that for those situations where meltdowns are in public or hospital visits, or to ensure that individuals' needs are met. But I also want you guys to think, for when we go to that episode, when we have that episode, it's not only emergency plan for those type of situations, but emergency plans like, what if you were unconscious and something happened? Like, I don't know, just saying, what if you got in a car accident, or what if you were in the grocery store and a shelf fell down on you? These are things I think about. I know that sounds crazy, but how would they know how to help your child if they're nonverbal? So we're going to dive deep into that in that episode. You guys will get to understand some of my weird fears and why I have some of the things I have in place. They make sense to me, but they'll make sense maybe to you too after that episode. Resources for families supporting level 3 autism. So navigating level 3 autism can feel very overwhelming, but there are a lot of resources out there. This book, that helped me out the most. Although my son is nonverbal and he's a level 3, my son can do a lot of his daily living and he is fully potty trained. And I contributed to this one book and to this one person. And I've taken her courses, and her name is Mary Barbera. And the book is Turn Autism Around. And a lot of people will say, you can't turn autism around. It is not about that. It's about helping with the symptoms, that you want them to have self-care. You want to help them have the best life that they can have. It's not about changing them. It's about changing the trajectory. Because if you don't have, potty training, sometimes it can hinder you to get into certain programs, especially as they get older. So I do recommend that book. It did help me out the most. And so stay tuned for later episodes for that one as well. And then Understanding Autism for Dummies. I know. It's a comprehensive guide to help guide you through your parenting journey. And then 10 Things Every Child with Autism Wish You Knew by Ellen Norborn. It offers insights into the world of autism. And again, there's a lot of controversy when we talk about these, and we're going to talk about different types of therapies on here. So the one that has been proven the most to make big strides in helping your children, ABA therapy. It focuses on improving specific behaviors throughout the importance of finding the therapist that aligns with your child and their unique needs. Now, some people will say that ABA changes people, but let me just say this. There's 88 now different methods of ABA, okay? There's a few methods that I only like. I like play-based, where the child doesn't really think. They're more engaging in play than they are, but they are learning. So the verbal behavioral approach and Hanley, those are my two favorite approaches. Hanley teaches the child how to advocate more for themselves and their needs. And my son, he definitely advocates for himself, especially after we have been implementing the Hanley method. So I know there's a bunch of negative out there about ABA, but when it comes to level 3, sometimes I don't think you're going to be finding you're not going to be able to address all of the needs that you need to without these professionals helping you, because the caregiver can get burnt out. They are there to help you. Now, my son has also done DIR therapy, and I would say every child should do DIR therapy. It's more about building the relationship with the parent, and it helps them build the relationships and understanding body cues. So for this therapy, you play. Okay, it's a play-based therapy again, but they have to read your body cues in order to engage in the play. And you gain a lot of things from this: joint attention. Again, the play-based therapies are very big in helping. So DIR therapy is definitely another one that I would choose. Now, in my opinion, it does not replace ABA. I think it enhances ABA, but I do not think it replaces ABA. If your child does not, but for my child, he was a 3-3. He needed ABA. He needs ABA. Occupational therapy. They address the sensory processing and the life skills development. Yes, occupational therapy is absolutely critical, and not just for the short term. I would say, even if you think your child, they're doing great cutting paper and they're doing great, they can help with life skills, coordinating, making sure that they've got those moral reflexes and all those primitive reflexes integrated. If they're not integrated, it's going to hurt them in other developments throughout their life, not just for the now. So definitely OTs, and not just when they're done and learning how to write and cutting paper. That is not the whole purpose of an OT. And I say that because I know some people are like, oh yes, my kid does this and does that, and they don't need OT anymore, but they can't ride a bike. Well, that is what, okay? You met that goal. This is your new goal. Learn how to ride a bike. Because if you can't learn how to ride a bike, you're probably not, if you can't learn how to ride a bike, your reflexes, your primitive reflexes, there's something lacking in there. And as your brain develops, up until the age of 25, it's not going to be good for their social norms. So I'm going to digress off of that, but just letting you know. And then getting into support groups. I run a support group called All Mommy. And I will post a link for that in the description notes below. You could also look at some that are just for level 3 that's non-verbals, like severely autistic, some groups out there. And again, support like in your local autism organizations. Many cities have nonprofits that provide respite care and support groups and training. And zones of regulation is something that I definitely recommend for you to check out. That will help with knowing what and how we are feeling and understanding why we're having those emotions. As today's episode comes to a close, I wanted to leave you with this. Level 3 autism is not just a diagnosis. It is a journey that requires patience, creativity, and collaboration. Remember, every individual is unique, even within the same level. There is a wide range of abilities, challenges, and strengths. Wherever your loved one is, and the level 3 or level 3 and 1 or both, the right support can unlock the potential and improve the quality of life. Thank you so much for listening to Finding Your Identity in Your Autism Journey. If this episode resonated with you, please share it with someone that might find it helpful, and don't forget to subscribe and stay tuned for the next episode, where we'll be diving into nonverbal versus minimally verbal, understanding communication on the spectrum. Until next time, remember, you're not alone, and together we can make a difference. Thank you for tuning in to Finding Your Identity in Your Autism Journey. I hope today's episode inspired you, brought you some clarity, or simply reminding that you are not alone. Be sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode. And if you enjoyed this conversation, leave a review and share it with someone who might need it. Until next time, remember, your story matters. Your voice matters, and together we can navigate this journey one step at a time. Today's episode of Finding Your Identity in Your Autism Journey is brought to you today by LifeWave X39 patches. As a parent of a child with autism, I'm always looking for new tools that truly make a difference. Since my son has started using the LifeWave X39 patches, we have noticed incredible improvements. More joint attention, less aggression, and a reduction in his autism-related symptoms. I have started using them myself, and they've truly been a game changer for my energy, my focus, and my mood. These innovative patches use light to gently support your body's natural energy flow. For better wellness, try them out today and see a difference in yourself and even your kiddo. So you guys can visit my link below in the show notes to learn more and to support the show.